There we are. Take a minute to officially welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on this webinar that we will be talking about Turkey and a joint collaboration between ourselves. I'm Elisa Maloney with floLIVE and with Kigen. So I'm going to take a second and introduce our wonderful speakers today, and then we'll start our session off with a nice poll question to wake everybody up, or brighten your afternoon if you're on the other half of the world for us. So we're joined here today with Curtis. He is the president of the Americas for floLIVE. Oh, and I think we just lost him. Isn't that ironic? Okay, well, we'll talk about him while he's coming back. So Curtis serves as floLIVE's president of North America. He's an accomplished leader with 25 years of broad experience and expertise in technology leadership, business development, and sales. He was most recently the GM and Global VP Dealer of Heavy Equipment for Uptake, industry leader for industrial artificial intelligence and IoT. And prior to joining Uptake, he spent almost 12 years at Cisco Jasper, where he held several roles, including the head of global business development and regional managing director. So, and we'll move on to Jean-Philippe with Kigen. Thank you so much for being here with us today. He's the senior vice president of sales and ecosystem development. So let me tell you about Jean-Philippe while we wait. All right. So sales ecosystem development with a focus on Europe and worldwide ecosystem development. With more than 25 years of experience in telecommunications and embedded security segments over different verticals, Jean-Philippe held several senior business executive positions at Gemalto, which is now Thales, right? Insight Secure, and most recently served as the vice president secure mobile solutions at Morpheo, which is now IDEMIA. So that's great. So you've gone through the acquisition experience multiple times, it sounds like. That can be just as interesting as going through IoT, can't it?
Kind of, yeah.
All right. Hey, Curtis.
Hi, glad to be back. I can't believe it dropped the very second you started the. So we're back, and I'm running off my phone. So let me know if the audio or anything is off.
Okay. Well, for the sake of this, since you're using, would you like me to run the slides?
Yeah, I think
let's do that. Let's do that.
Just in case we have an issue again.
So normally, we'll let you in on our secrets. Normally, Curtis runs the slides so that I can watch your questions, which I would love for you all to submit as you go through today. As you think of something that Curtis and Jean-Philippe speak about, please pop that into the chat and we will address it as we can. And if we run out of time, we will address it afterwards. But your question will be answered. Let's see if I can get this going here. So, but if you feel like you're not getting the attention you normally would, now you know the secret. All right, are you able to see the slides?
We can see.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, good. So let's go ahead and let's start with our first poll question, which, let's see if I can do that while I'm sharing. Maybe not. See if I can pause it and if that'll let me access the poll question. All right. So our first poll question is, what applications are you interested in regarding connecting in Turkey? So take a second, let us know what you're thinking, what you're interested in hearing about, and Curtis and Jean-Philippe will be able to tailor their conversation around that. So give it just another second. People are making some selections there, and then I'll launch it for you all so you can see. Okay. Oh, some people are changing their votes. That's always fun. Okay. All right, let's see. Pause the sharing. Are you able to still see the poll questions or the results?
I see the results. Yes.
Okay, good. What do you think? Is it what you were expecting?
Very much what I was expecting, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, great. All right, well, let's get on with the fun, shall we? We've done the introductions. Curtis, you missed yours, but don't worry, I think you know about yourself.
I do. I do. Thank you, Elise.
All right, so
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna,
start with a little bit about floLIVE, I assume. Next up.
yes.
Good, great. Great. Yeah, my apologies again for the internet mishap, but these things happen. A little bit about our company, floLIVE. We're a UK-based IoT software as a service company. When we talk about our solutions, our technology solutions, our cloud-based solutions, and what I'll emphasize is that they are ours. By that, I mean that floLIVE engineers have designed, built, and now deploy and manage all of the solutions that you see here, except for the one exception that we'll share with our partner here, Kigen. At the heart of our solutions, we have our cloud native core network service. That's 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, all included there with our core network. Every network element from a core network perspective, we designed and built ourselves, minus the radio access part of it. We also have a full stack carrier grade BSS that includes the real-time billing component there for us. We have a patented smart SIM that allows us to use a single SIM globally that combines both our multi-MZ technology with eUICC or UICC, which JP and I talked about in our last session there. We also have a real-time multi-tenant, multi-tier, multi-MZ, multi-core connectivity management platform, which is really important. And we'll talk about some of those details there. And then we complement all of the floLIVE solutions with our integration with the Kigen RSP that really completes all of the solutions. What do we do with that? So we combine all of the solutions there to meet, to work either as a joint unit in our connectivity management solution there, or we run them independently as microservices there. We combine them for what we call our suite of IoT software as a service services there. The beginning of that would be our core network as a service there. And then we have our connectivity management platform that we offer as a service. And then in the next slide, what you'll see is that we have our hyperlocal global connectivity as a service that we have. This network is basically taking all of our technology, combining it together, and then doing relationships with MNOs around the world. We've done about 30 of those to date, 12 of which we offer as this hyperlocal global network there. That allows us to provide connectivity around the world with a single SIM. You can have in every country multiple mobile network operators that you have access to. And then if you need more connectivity, need to localize that connectivity for data sovereignty, you can localize the connectivity. Beyond that, if you're in a densely populated area, we can use our core network as a service solution there to build a fully private network. And then if you have the need, which you'll see in one of our use cases here, to move from private to public, our SIM technology combines with all of our core and our connectivity management platform to allow you to move seamlessly between public network and private network. And then as you see on the far right there, the satellite there, soon to be coming there is our ability to go even beyond cellular technology and use non-terrestrial technology with the Release 17 NB IoT over satellite, where basically you can have connectivity anywhere in the world through our services there. And then the other piece that is very important for our conversation today is the ability to do all of this thing within a regulated country where there's not permanent roaming allowed. That's where we combine either our eUICC solution and our OTA capabilities in the back end with our normal multi-MZ solution, or we use, as you'll see today, Kigen and our RSP to download a profile for the local coverage footprint there. So that's really our suite of solutions. One of the things that I will point out here in the next slide here is that because we have so much technology, we're really providing all of that technology to everyone in the ecosystem. We act as vendors to the mobile network operators, where we're selling them our connectivity management platform that they provide to their end customers. We have mobile operators that buy our core network, that also buy our global connectivity service there. And then we have our IoT MVNOs that buy all of the services from us. And then we have, as we talked about and we announced in September, global enterprises like Qualcomm that use our hyperlocal global connectivity for their solutions. And then enterprise, the one that I think is really intriguing is that we're seeing more enterprises that are becoming what I call enterprise MVNOs. So they need everything that the MVNOs need. They need their own core network. They need global coverage footprint. So they're buying our core network along with our hyperlocal global connectivity, but deploying it as an independent solution where they're using it for their core network. That gives them a lot more flexibility overall. So we provide these services across the board. With operations and regional units in North America, in Europe, and as well as in Asia. So that's a little bit about floLIVE. I'll pass it over to JP to talk to us about Kigen.
Thank you, Curtis. So a short introduction to Kigen for maybe the very few that don't know us yet. Kigen is a UK company. We have been acquired by ARM, the semiconductor company, 7 years ago now, nearly 7 years ago. And we have two big shareholders, which are ARM and SoftBank, the global innovation VC, that created us with a mission to drive the future of SIM. So in the past 7 years, we have developed innovations to solve the main IoT pain points around cellular connectivity and security. For example, we have been famous to drive this iSIM integrated eUICC technology. So we have been the pioneers of iSIM, starting with Sony Semiconductor. And now we have deployed the technology to 3 other chip makers in the IoT world. We have also a partnership with 5 module vendors to develop iSIM solution based on their modules. So that's a key innovation in the IoT world. We have developed eSIM solutions, so that's based either on OTA, either on remote SIM provisioning, strictly following the GSMA specification. And in that field, with some key partners like Vodafone, we have been at the initiative of this IoT RSP that we call at GSMA the AGP32. Kigen is sharing that work group in GSMA, and now we are launching solutions around that for our customers. And then on the right part of the slide, also with regard to our ADN coming from ARM, we are super close to chip makers, but also to hardware makers like ODM and OEM. And we have been developing specific in-factory connectivity enablements for big ODMs. So that's relieving the pain to insert manually SIM cards or eSIM into the devices. Here, everything becomes digital, and we send the SIM operating system and the SIM profiles 1 week before the production to the ODM in factory. And that's solving a lot of logistic issue on their side. Last but not least, again, we are working on security and connectivity. On the security part, we have developed with GSMA and the Trusted Connectivity Alliance what we call IoT Safe, which is integrating secure elements on the SIM, eSIM. So the secure element feature or the root of trust feature is piggybacked into the eSIM, and it saves you from integrating a separate secure element in your device. So again, it's time, money that are being saved, and better integration and better digitalization of the whole connectivity and security solution, but also an easiest way to manage that remotely and during the life cycle of the device. Next one. So we all understand that those days the world's geopolitics are getting tougher. So economies and countries are being driven by sovereignty principle first on the economic side, but also on the data side, the privacy side. And in the past 5 years, in the connectivity world, and especially in the IoT world, there has been regulation that have been pushed by a lot of countries, for example, for non-permanent roaming. For example, you are not allowed to roam in the country for more than 90 days. And we will come back to that on the Turkish case. But also data sovereignty, where you have to manage all the data belonging to the local citizen in a clouds in local cloud. So that's data sovereignty, and that's also an issue we had to solve for Turkey. So in the past 5 years, Kigen has developed RSP connections for most of those highly regulated markets. You have some flags here on the slides. Going west to east, we started with the US, of course, because it's one of the biggest markets in the world. And then we have connected Canada, where we have agreement with some local MNOs. In the US, we are connected to Verizon, AT&T, and soon to T-Mobile. And in South America, we are connected to America Mobile that allows us to do local connectivity in Brazil. And we are cooperating with floLIVE for Brazil, but also in the rest of LATAM with America Mobile. On top of that, we have connected, of course, Europe. We are a European company. Our RSP is managed strictly under the GDPR rules in Dublin, in Ireland. So that gives us access to the whole European markets. But we're also connected in Asia. So in Japan, again, SoftBank is one of our major contributor, and they are a Japanese MNO too. In China, with China Mobile International, and in Australia with Telstra. So we can bring your eSIM and manage them in all those countries. And we are now on a monthly or daily basis also connecting other geographies that have implemented strict rules around non-permanent roaming and data sovereignty. Next. So the solution that we are going to detail today is based on what we call the M2M remote SIM provisioning, or M2M RSP, what we call also the AGP02 in the GSMA jargon and standardization system. But we also now, as told you, we are a major contributor of the IoT RSP, called also AGP32. And we are evolving our solutions also to cover this new standard that has been published in May by GSMA. So that will bring the benefit of IoT RSP to the solution. And for example, that's about simplification. We don't use SMS anymore. There is less interconnection between MNOs and between systems. So drastically simplifying the global interco of the system. We also have a convergence with the consumer RSP, which is being now used in smartphones. So it's simplifying the model. We are coming from AGP02, AGP22, and that's being converged into AGP32. So 1 DP plus with a double usage on IoT and consumer. And that also allows to manage new use cases like what we call consumer IoT, for example, wearables, but devices that are acquired by citizens, by people, so B2C markets, and they want to manage themselves, their connectivity. So that's also a new generation of use cases that AGP32 is tackling. But that's also more freedom for ODMs to remotely manage their devices. There are a series of remote management features in AGP32 that gives more powers to ODM to manage their fleets. And we have more and more demand and traction from ODM those days. And as I've said, we are very close to this ecosystem, starting with, for example, smart meter vendors. And last but not least, AGP32 has been created to manage constraint networks and constraint devices. So that's wearables, that's sensor. You don't have any input mechanism or output mechanism, no screen. So that's for the constraint devices. And for the constraint networks, it's what we call LPN, LP1, like LTE-M and NB-IoT. So we are making sure that progressively our solution and our coverage of highly regulated country will evolve to AGP32 in the coming months. Next one to go, Curtis, I guess.
Yes, thanks, JP. I think now as we kind of switch, like one of the things that JP mentioned is that you've got all of the highly regulated countries there where the permanent roaming is not allowed, or they have the data privacy, data sovereignty mandates that they have from a government perspective here. We look at the overall problem here. I think the interesting fact here at the top here is that almost half of IT leaders say that global connectivity is the most critical part for their global expansion. So it's the reality that companies the world over are expanding globally. And having that global connectivity is a critical piece of their business there. But what that does is that it now brings into play some challenges to actually making that happen there from an overall worldwide perspective there. Because you have multiple operators. You have over 1,200 operators around the world that you have to choose from if you're going into a global business there. What that adds to you is now you've got in the traditional model multiple SIM SKUs that you're having to manage there, and of course now we get into efficiency issues there, added cost to do that. And some challenges there with deployments and logistics as we look at it there. When you look on the next slide here, it's like, okay, what does that ultimately lead to? Elisa, on the next slide, please. Sorry. Yeah, so as I mentioned, in the traditional way, if you have a regulated area where you have permanent roaming, as in Turkey, and by the way, this is across the other territories where it's the same challenges there. You need to buy a local SIM and leverage a local MNO. Right, so you purchase that. You have an added SKU that you're adding to your list of SKUs that you're managing there. You have to go from operator to operator if you need multiple operators in that country, multiple different regulated areas there. You end up with multiple SKUs. You've got multiple contracts. You've got multiple integrations, APIs. So the back end complexity just increases exponentially as you add these different pieces there. So you really end up with, at the end of the day, a very fragmented, bespoke approach for every integration that you're doing, which not only from a service quality perspective gives you limited control and visibility, it also adds to that operational efficiency, which really is limiting for companies that need to go global. So meeting that challenge is very necessary overall for us. This is why we've worked on this solution with Kigen for Turkey there that we'll go into next. But one of the things as we move to the next slide is it's really interesting that the results, I think, showed that 79% of people were said for Turkey in particular, logistics was one of the areas that you would focus on. If you look at the next slide, Elisa, and we talk about the different applications that we have, particularly we focus here on fleet. Sorry, I'm not seeing the slide advance there. Oh, okay. Sorry, Elisa. But fleet is one of those areas where you see the need for really two phases. One, a lot of fleet applications are just simply temporary roaming. They go into a location, they return, they go into many locations, many countries, particularly if you look at places in Europe, here in the Americas. Most of our fleet companies are going from Canada to the US to Mexico, maybe a few other countries there. South America, we're seeing fleets that are moving between countries, very much like you see in Europe. So they have that need to move in between, which is perfectly fine. They're covered by the normal temporary roaming agreements, but you also have in the fleet piece where you have logistics companies like a DHL, a UPS, FedEx, that they're deployed in countries. Then you also have fleet companies that are carrying assets that will remain in country. So the asset is tracked on the vehicle going across multiple geographies, but when they land, they're going to be there permanently. So they need to be able to switch there. And just in general, from the fleet perspective, you see some of the requirements here from a business need. We've seen fleet go from just the basic dots on a map, if you will. I know where my device is. It reports in every minute, every hour, depending on the conditions that are set, to now you're seeing more and more sensors that are added to the item that's being transported there. You're seeing things like forward-facing cameras, reverse-facing cameras, driver-facing cameras there. So you have the added need for more reliability in data from a just like, you have a vehicle that you're tracking that's has the cameras going. You can't afford for that to go offline, because if an accident happens, then you lose critical information about that accident. So that's important. Low latency for those devices that are battery operated now, that are within the fleet, that may not be connected to the CAN bus and getting power from the vehicle. They're low latency, so they need to be able to connect quickly, send their data, and go offline. And then, of course, from the camera perspective, we're seeing the 5G piece. We talked about the global coverage there that's required in general. And then the international support for the connectivity services, as these deployments are literally around the world. And then just in general, I think with all of the information that they're getting, the additional things that are being tracked, what you see is that they have a lot of data, and they're using that data now to generate business value, to ensure products are safely stored at the right temperature. They're getting to the right location at the right time. So they're planning for facilities, resources to receive products at the right time. So we see that a lot of efficiency there. I think this for us is, as we see, have seen over the last 15 years for me, the growth in this industry. There's a lot of value that's being added that really lends itself to not only having that ability to do temporary roaming, but now into permanent roaming. And if we go to the next slide, Elisa, please. Really, when we look at some of the considerations that we have, SIM form factor, not just for eUICC that we're mentioning here, particularly because we're talking about Turkey, but just any form factor that we're seeing. And we're seeing it across. We see the need for your standard plug plastic SIM, 2FF all the way to 4FF. We're seeing a lot of requirements there for MFF2s. We've worked with our friends here from Kigen there for iSIM there. So that's one of the key considerations that you have. And then optimizing the battery life there for the most part. Many of the solutions that we're seeing are battery operated, low latency solutions that are required there. So that's the key piece there. And then, as we mentioned, the international connectivity is absolutely a mandate for what we're doing. And then the last piece that's a part of the solution that we're talking about here is that autonomous switching. The logistics of adding that additional SKU, of adding that additional integration, all of those things are very limiting. And so the requests and the requirements that we're seeing from our customers is that we want that to be automatic. We want to automatically detect that a device is in a location, and it automatically switches to the local network. We do that with our multi-MZ technology. And now, as we'll see, as we talk about some of the details of what we're doing with, in particularly in Turkey, we'll see how we do that in a much very automated fashion as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about what we're doing with the fleet industry there and how we're seeing that progress and need the type of solutions that we're talking about today.
Okay, so the Turkish case now, we had two issues to manage in Turkey, two regulations. The first one was that permanent roaming is not allowed anymore in Turkey. So it means that a device may roam on Turkish networks no more than 90 days in total per 120-day period. And to remain connected, after that, it has to use a subscription profile from a local operator, like the three big ones in Turkey, Türk Telekom, Turkcell, and Vodafone Turkey. So that was the first issue to manage. That we are managing also for other countries. But there was another important regulation in Turkey, which was the data sovereignty, which means each data related to the local devices or local consumers need to be managed in Turkey in a local data center. So what is the magic that we have applied to comply with those two regulations? So two things. First, on the Turkish ecosystem, they have created an entity called Protahub, which is managing, as per the GSMA standard, a SM-SR and a SMDP. So that's full M2M RSP, SGP, O2. And this setup is connected to the three major local MNOs there, Vodafone, Turkcell, Türk Telekom. And they are connected to their connectivity management platform. So all this is operated strictly under the GSMA standards. On the other hand, Kigen is managing its own RSP M2M, so the SM-SR and the SMDP for floLIVE, and we are connected to the CMP of floLIVE. So we're providing the eSIM either in a soldered format or a removable plastic format to floLIVE. Those eSIM are inserted in devices. Those devices are going to Turkey, and when they roam there more than 90 days over a period of 120 days, then floLIVE knows that in their platform, and they are sending a message to the Kigen SM-SR in order to do a swap of those credentials, of those profile subscription from Kigen to Protahub. So globally, we transfer the data. It's what we call the SM-SR swap in the GSMA standards or an ES7 interface. So we have implemented that in real time with Protahub. So once we receive this notification from the CMP of floLIVE, then we transfer the data directly to Protahub in Turkey, and Protahub informs the related MNO in Turkey. So that's how that works. Again, it's fully under the GSMA standards umbrella. It's totally interoperable. There is nothing special. And that's how we have implemented that in the past 6 months with Protahub, a local MNO in Turkey, and floLIVE. Next.
Yeah, maybe in the next slide, I'll give the floLIVE perspective of this, and starting with the detective, the SIM in Turkey. So we'll go back maybe to our previous webinar with our Kigen friends here that we talked about floLIVE and Kigen. We combine our technologies with multi-MC and eUICC. So that starts out. The reason why that's important is because you need connectivity to start. With our multi-MC technology within the eUICC, the floLIVE eUICC profile contains our multi-MZ, so we can basically assure connectivity anywhere in the world, not for permanent roaming, but for at least for temporary roaming as we need it for Turkey here. So the device lands in Turkey. It is able to connect on the local network because it's within our platform with our real-time network events that are connected to our core. In real time, we're able to detect this event that the SIM is in fact in Turkey. In the back end, we have logic in place there that automatically sets a rule that says devices landed in Turkey. This device is going to be there permanently. So we need to do the SM-SR swap that we mentioned earlier between Kigen and Protahub. Then the profile is downloaded there. And then from a back-end perspective, you'll see on the floLIVE system that we've changed from the floLIVE profile to the local profile, all visible within one system. So you're still getting that single pane of glass that allows you to view all of the services that you have, and it happens in an automated fashion here.
Okay, so this solution is bringing all the benefits of the eSIM, the M2M eSIM to the Turkish ecosystem. So there are no compromise here. For example, we have a single SKU. So we have this floLIVE profile with the multi-IMSI feature of floLIVE, what Curtis called being both hyperlocal and global. It could be used as a bootstrap to have only one SKU in your devices, and it will roam automatically to Turkey, and it will respect the local regulation. We have the flexibility in connecting other CSPs, so the system is connected to local MNOs through Protahub, which is the local RSP, and local MNOs could download their subscription to the eSIM. So we have this flexibility. We are respecting the regulation. That's important, and not only Turkey is taking that direction, but you can see that in Saudi, you can see that in Korea, you can see that in India. So more and more countries are asking for both non-permanent roaming, but also data sovereignty. We have the fallback mechanism, so it can bring resilience, it can bring safety for healthcare, for automotive, for example, but latency, when you are doing roaming, you are losing latency, you are losing priority, so that could be also important. And it's totally integrated into the floLIVE portal, and as Curtis said, you have this a single pane of glass that allows you to manage your systems and your connectivity in Turkey. And now we are opening the door to the future evolution to IoT RSP, what we call SGP32, that should come in the coming months, and we plan also to integrate Turkey into that system. Next one.
I think we're
Okay, you made it. Good job, everyone. It's from some technical difficulties to all sorts of excitement happening. So thank you all so very much for taking the time to speak with us. We're going to do one final poll. I'm going to open up to some questions, and I'll stop sharing so that I can launch the poll. So 1 second here. And see if I remember how I did this before. You know what? I may not be able to go to the next poll while I'm sharing, so I'll stop sharing altogether and see if I can make it work from here. Apologies about that. We learn something new every day, right? Or we figure out what's happening here. Okay. All right, final poll question here. We'll go ahead and launch. So this is just a quick question. If you would like to be contacted directly by floLIVE or by Kigen, just give us a little shout here and we will reach out to you right after this webinar. If you don't have any burning questions that we won't be able to answer in just a moment, that's all right too. And we're happy to take care of those. Let y'all have a second as I look through some of these poll questions here. Not poll questions, Q&A questions, my apologies. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll and we'll take care of those. And we're going to go right into our Q&A. All right, so first question. Is the Kigen RSP located in Turkey for an SR swap with Protahub, or can it remain external to Turkey? That's our first question.
The Kigen RSP is hosted in Dublin in the European Union in a secure data center, which is GSMA certified. So we don't go to Turkey. Our system is interconnected with the SM-SR of Protahub, and we have an API to do this transfer of credentials from the Kigen SM-SR to the Protahub SM-SR in Turkey. So Protahub is hosted in Turkey.
Great. All right. Next question. Is floLIVE planning to add another MNO like Turkey Cellular or Turkey Telecom to their services?
Yeah, that's certainly in our plans. We've had conversations with both there. We're seeing demand for the solution here. So definitely in the plan, in the roadmap there, but we don't have a definitive timeline yet for them.
Thank you, Curtis. All right, we've got a lot of good questions, so thank you all. Keep them coming. All right, it says, what is the typical duration to detect and load localized profiles to a local device? Some latency there.
Curtis, you answer on the loading, on the detecting. I will answer on the loading.
Yeah, from a detection perspective, it happens in real time. As I mentioned, the key piece there is that the multi-MZ piece, we have an MZ that's connected to the floLIVE core network infrastructure. So we're getting that registration request in real time. And so we're able to detect instantly.
And with regard to the loading, once we receive the notification from floLIVE, and we connect to Protahub, and they download on their side to the eSIM, that should not be more than 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. That's great. All right, I'm going to jump around a little bit. We have a good question that's a little off topic, but I'll come back to it at the end if we have a second. So we'll go to, what about commercial relationships, billing, etc., for connections in Turkey? Would the customer need a direct relationship with one of the carriers?
Yeah, this is the beauty of the solution, and one of the key things for us to solve is not to have our customers go and do different commercial agreements with local MNO. We've done that legwork for them. So really, it's an extension of what they have today with floLIVE. We add it to the commercials if we don't have it already in their agreement, with a simple addendum that typically we do within 24 hours, and then we're ready to go. Now, of course, the SIMs deployed need to be eUICC with the floLIVE multi-MC solution already in play. But once we have that in play, we're ready to go. So the time to market, if you will, for the solution is a few weeks to get SIMs, to get the contract updated, and you're ready to go.
Good. All right, so next question is, what happens if there's a failure in the handoff?
JP, you want to cover that?
On the RSP side, we have retry mechanism. So we receive a proof of receipts that says there is a failure, and then we redo the download as many times as it is necessary. And after a certain number of redo, we escalate to Protahub to see if there is an issue with the device or what's happening there.
Yeah, and one of the things I would say, because the initial connectivity is through a floLIVE MZ, we're seeing all of the activity in real time. So we know things like devices dropped off the network, we're not able to reach it there, it's deregistered, drop the data context or anything like that. We can see that piece on our side, which helps us to resolve issues like that quickly.
And there is no disruption of the connectivity. If there is a fail in the download, we stay on the bootstrap and the profile of floLIVE.
Makes sense. Okay, so is the SIM state visible to me as it moves from one entity to the next?
It is, yeah. Part of the integration that we have on the floLIVE side is that you can see the full visibility of the SIM within the platform. There, you can see which MZ is currently active, particularly through the events, the network events, and then you can see the active MZ once it's switched over. You'll see that in all of the SIM information that we provide in the platform. in real time.
So that's on the connectivity platform. On the RSP, we lose the site of the SIM, the eSIM, and it's totally transferred to the local SM-SR with Protahub, and we don't have any more visibility of the SIM on our side.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so why is this solution simpler than just buying local SIMs?
Yeah. Look, I will tell you, there's some customers we have that are buying just local SIM. So we can provide a local SIM as well. If you know you have devices that are going into Turkey, then that one may logistically be perfectly fine. So that's an option there. And by the way, in that case, if you still want that single pane of glass, you buy the SIMs from us. We provide you with the local SIM, and you're still good. Where it comes into play is if you don't know where devices are going at the time of manufacture, which is overwhelmingly the case for us, is that customers are manufacturing devices for general deployments around the world. And with our technology, this is one of the key things that we address is literally you can send it anywhere, because whatever we need to do to localize to where it ends up, we can do that automatically through a switch or download of a new MZ profile for a multi-MZ, or in this case, a download of a new eUICC profile.
Good. All right, and then I've got a couple more. We're doing pretty good on time, so excellent. Good work, everyone. Okay, so this is a little more technical. How do you explain how the new SGP32 specification supports cross-border connectivity?
So as I mentioned, the system is even more simple than the existing M2 MRSP, the SGP02. So in that case, on your side, we don't have any more to connect to Protahub. The download will be directly done by the what we call the DP Plus or the RSP of local MNOs. So that will simplify even further the interco. And here the discussion would be directly from floLIVE to the local MNO. When floLIVE spots that the eSIM will infringe the local regulation, they will send a request to the local MNO in Turkey.
Okay, great. Okay, so one more specific to this, and then I'll ask the general question that came through. So any last lesson learned that you would like to share through this integration work from from Kigen to floLIVE to Protahub? Any final thoughts or lessons learned that you think would be interesting to share?
I think we have done a world first that we started 1 year ago. So the local ecosystem was quite immature with regard to eSIM. So the setup has been a little bit long and complex because of that, but we made it at the end, and now it's working fine. But it was more that they have developed their RSP by themselves, and it was the first time they were doing such an interco. So we have a little bit refined the process with the local MNO, with Protahub, and now it's done. So it's connected, and we are ready to integrate more MNOs in the game. But it was the main issue we had to face was it was new for them, and we had to let's say kind of debug a lot of things there.
Curtis, any thoughts before I throw the curveball?
No, I would say that it is a difficult process to go through, but that's why we're here to do the hard work ahead of time for our customers. So it's much simpler from a customer perspective. I will say that the one thing to include here is the device behavior and how the device is connected. We mentioned earlier that it takes about 5 minutes for the swap to happen there. So these for devices that are the floLIVE peekaboo devices that wake up and transmit and go to sleep within 15 to 30 seconds, Obviously, in those cases, you need to have different behavior when you land in Turkey. You need to have that device stay on long enough, and then there are battery considerations to come into play. But those are all the kind of things that we test in a normal fashion with customers, even for our multi-MZ updates there. So it's definitely a piece that we need to put into play, where we need to test the device along with the solution and ensure that both are compatible.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And these have been such great questions. There are a few more, but in the sake of this question came in earlier and I think it's fun, so I want to bring it up. So we have this question that came in. It says, how do we connect private network 5G and global networks? So a little bit of a curveball, but it's one of those great 5G topics that we love to spring on speakers at the last minute. So what do you think? You catch a curveball?
Private 5G and public networks. This is this is something that we do here, and we have a couple of different ways that we do it. One of the key things to note, as I mentioned earlier, it's that when we say the network, the core network, it's floLIVE core network. So when we build a private network, 100% of it is floLIVE there. We can do things when we have the core network on both sides, public and private, with the sharing of the keys across. We can also use our multi-MZ technology there to deploy the private network MZ on the SIM as well as the public network MZ, and then set up the SIM logic to automatically switch when you're out of coverage or when you come into a different area. We can allow that to happen. The other thing that we offer is user control. So if you're a user and you have a GPS location that you know is home, should be on a private network, you can use user control to switch to the private network. And then when it goes off out of the private network, the most common thing to do there is that you see loss of connectivity for a particular time, and you automatically switch to the public network there. Obviously, one of the key things that we're hearing is that, no, I need that seamless transition between public and private there. And so in that case, they're using the GPS location to say, I'm getting ready to leave. As soon as that location changes even slightly, you're 100 meters away, I want to automatically switch and reconnect. So that reduces the reconnect times there.
Great. All right, good job.
I like it. That's one of my favorite ones. It's actually one of the key things that we provide between the two that I think is unique in the industry. And so, yeah, that's a good topic for me.
It is. It's fun. When I saw it come through, I was like, oh, I've got to ask it. All right.
And
so
maybe a friendly sent that question in. Thank you.
No, honestly, I wish I could give credit to someone I know. It's a new friend. I'll have to reach out after the fact and say thank you. Loaded us up there. So I want to be conscious of time and technology, which is being a little twitchy today. So any last thoughts before we go? And I know we did not get to all the questions. We had over 20 questions submitted. And so we did not get to all of them, but we tried to hit some of the high points, but we will reach out to everyone who submitted a question after the fact and answer those directly. So don't feel bad if you didn't get a direct reference. Any last thoughts before we go?
No, I think we have created a gateway to the Turkish market. So now go for it. We have learned the hard way, but it's working now. So feel free. We are here to help you.
That's good.
I would agree. You know, it's good that we have this open here. This has been one of the key things that we've had demand for me, much of the last two years in particular. It's come to light. Now that we have it available, we've solved it here. We've had other solutions for other regulated markets that are ready to go now. So give us a call if you need some help getting into Turkey and other regulated markets. We're happy to help.
Wonderful. Thank you all so very much. Our wonderful speakers, our great audience today. Thank you all for your time. This recording and slides will be available after the fact. We'll get to those questions. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Alisa, for organizing. Bye. Bye to you all.
Bye.